As some of you know from previous posts, my name is John Harwood. I'm trying to get out of the program, which is essentially the intelligence community in America. For a year, I tried to find work and applied at hundreds of places, only to eventually get called in for interviews at some of them, get hired on, and then a game would start where no matter how well I performed, how good my attitude was, and no matter what I did to excel at that job, the game was to fire me. So I quickly saw that the establishment, the system, with their billions of dollars of taxpayer money, all geared into the military, who takes part in mind control operations, could quickly use its power and its badges to move into any facility, any corporation that they wanted to, that I was trying to get a job at, flash a badge and say, we're taking over. And then they could do what these are called drills or operations. I believe this is illegal to do this on American soil against Americans. They're spying on me because I'm a political activist, a documentary filmmaker, and a writer. So I've been targeted because I'm a vocal critic of the corrupt forces that control our government. So they want to hurt me financially. They want to hurt me any way they can. But a big way they'll do this is through trying to prevent me from finding any work possible. After I realized what they were doing, I decided to get my own truck and go back to work for myself, whereupon a month after I got a truck, a maniac crashed into me, basically with a head-on collision, totaling my truck. I would like to tell you people that the government is waking up or getting better, but no, they're not. It seems that they're going to have to get what they work for. They're working for foreign investors to destabilize America, to attack Americans. They've brought the war home. The Central Intelligence Agency is supposed to be an intelligence gathering agency that spies on foreign countries. They don't attack civilians of their own country that are practicing their constitutional rights, but they are. So when you have this system attacking its own civilians, anybody who stands up to them by practicing their constitutional rights is considering standing up to them now. We no longer have an America. You no longer have an American government. You have a corrupt regime, just the same as all these places that you hear about that are nightmares on the news. The American government is no different. In the power structure, I don't see anybody who looks remotely intelligent, who looks remotely like they know what they're doing. They look like they're starting to regress. They look like ape people. That's your power structure. That's the military command. And then they have a bunch of front people. They're future politicians. They're corporate executives. They're little front people. They think they're pretty smart. They're pretty good vocally. But they're self-centered. They're ignorant to what's happening. And they'll do whatever they get paid to do. So I want to discuss one of these groups called the Citizens Campaign for the Environment. They're an offshoot of the Long Island Citizens Campaign. So I guess they're initially out of New York, and they say they're a Department of Consumer Protection. They're registered there as a public charity. I'll read this. Long Island Citizens Campaign for the Environment, 225 Main Street, Farmingdale, New York, 11735, is certified by the Department of Consumer Protection as a registered public charity. So let me just tell you about my experiences at this place. As you can see, I found the ad on Craigslist in the government section. I was interested in seeing what would be under the government section. They list ads for a few police officers. They list ads for the military, of course, and some of these activist groups. So I called them up and they said, yeah, they were hiring. They give you a base salary for going around and collecting donations for their campaigns and their current campaign to stop the spraying of pesticides and herbicides on high school grounds. So we'll get into a minivan. We would drive to an area, and about 7 or 8 of us would get out and what they call canvass an area. We're given a street or a few streets, a map, and told to go door to door and try to collect donations and letters. But I got the job. I was called in for training, and we sat around a table, and a person came in, a speaker, who told us about, his successes and his mindset as being a canvasser, is how they phrase it. The anxiety in that room was so thick you'd need a chainsaw to cut it. That's the first thing. These people had the worst vibe. They had the worst. This shouldn't be a vibe like that. A bunch of quote unquote grassroots activists that are coming together to try to pass laws that will benefit their environment. They should have a lot of good people there that feel good about what they're doing, good about their job. But no, they were filled with terrible anxiety. And of course they sat there, one girl sat there, gyrating her body in circles. She's like stamping her leg in a nervous twitch, and not only doing that, she was gyrating her body in circles as if she is like a mentally handicapped person at some mental health group. That's what I felt like. I was in the middle of a mental handicap group in some psychiatric facility. It looked like one flew over the cuckoo's nest there. So the first day, after that little hour-long group, I went out with the lady training me, and her name was, written down here somewhere. Her name was Laura Shindell. And Laura Shindell was approximately 23 years old, and I was to observe her as she went through her little speech there. They had it all written down, what they expected you to say. And so for the first day I basically observed her. Then when we had an hour or two left, she goes, go do a few doors on your own. I was able to raise, I think, $18. Mostly I just got people to donate a couple bucks when they're ready to slam the door in my face. They would sign the petition, and they would usually donate a couple dollars. And I went back the next day. And the next day, I observed her for another hour. Then she said she was going to observe me. So the first person I went to, I was able to raise a check, I think, for $60. Laura, basically, her personality seemed to be more of like a naive kid. I later got to know the real Laura, but initially she came across as being kind of like a dorky, naive kid she had this kind of stupid smile on her face the whole time. This kind of crooked smile. And her eyes were kind of crossed, to be honest with you. So anyway, I just regarded her as just some young kid. I was nice to her. I accepted all criticism. I took all direction from her with a positive attitude. And I'm like, while she's training me, I'm going to do it her way. When I get off on my own, I like to kind of find my own speech pattern and my own way of approaching people. But while I was with her, I kind of stayed on the regimented, little robotic speech. You know, they had it all down to when you hand them a pen to sign. They had the whole program down. So I was following that code while I was with her. So after we got that $60 donation, we're walking down the street and a dog comes running down a little grassy embankment, and I could see it has one of those electric dog fence collars around its neck, but it's really aggressive and it's tearing down the hill, growling and barking. Now on the top of the hill where the driveway is, there's two women with, I would say, two more dogs. I think they had 3 dogs total. And these dogs looked like a mix between yellow labs and golden retrievers. The one that ran down barking and going crazy looked like a yellow lab mutt. And then they had some golden retrievers that were staying more toward where the ladies were sitting on the driveway. And I remarked to Laura that in the last year or two, I had been attacked by dogs and it wasn't fun. And she said something like, yeah, just stick your clipboard in their mouth or something like that. And I joked back saying, yeah, that'll be funny if I call you up and, hey Laura, I lost another clipboard today. So I kind of hesitate at the bottom of the driveway, and she decides to walk up. That's how it should sound when this lady walks. With this idiotic smile on her face. So she's walking up the driveway, and the dog runs over to her, and she pets the dog, and she's walking up to these ladies, and the ladies are kind of sitting there, and they have basically, I hate to say it, they look like apes with blonde perms. They look cute as far as ape people go, but regardless, they look like apes with blonde perms. So I kind of follow up behind Laura. Most dogs like me. In fact, I never had any problem with any dog attacks in my life until I started vocally criticizing the Vatican and the Central Intelligence Agency. Then I was attacked by several dogs. Usually when people would bring their dog over to me, let it off the leash and basically command it to sick me. But I've been attacked by a series of dogs. A bulldog, a pit bull, a black lab, and a German shepherd so far. But dogs usually love me. I've had dogs my whole life. I got a pit bull now. And I usually don't have an issue with dogs. So I'm walking up the driveway behind her, and the dog kind of runs over to me. And all of a sudden the dog starts to growl and goes nuts. The dog bites my hand and gets me by my left wrist and chews up my left wrist.